Hola, I'm Rebecca Valcarcel, and I want to talk about souvenirs on the Camino de Santiago. I walked in July 2021, and my plan was to mainly take photos and have that be my souvenir, and that worked really well. It turns out that you don't want to be adding weight to your backpack, you don't want to be spending a lot of money, probably. So, yeah, I just want to reassure you that if your main plan is to not buy souvenirs, I think you'll be fine. The question is like when you get home, will you wish you had bought something? Really, no. The biggest thing, the most meaningful thing that I brought home was my credential. And most pilgrims buy these anyway. They're like €3 or 5 or something. And as you probably know, you get a stamp for every albergue that you stay in. And there's usually a stamp at every eatery and store, even. And if you get two per day in the last 100 kilometers, you can also get a certificate, the actual Compostela, and that also is a great souvenir. But this credential is my favorite souvenir, and it's the thing that I always pull out to when I talk about the Camino or when I want to show people that I did something. It's so physical, and I get to relive the Camino experience when I look at the stamps, and they're all different, and some are quite artistic. So it's cheap. It's a natural artifact of your journey. It's great. And if that's the only souvenir I had, I would be totally happy. Now I did collect 2 stamps a day in the last 100 kilometers, and I walked over 100 kilometers. So I did get the actual Compostela, and so that of course makes the other great souvenir. And it also is cheap, and they'll even, if you pay a little more, you can get a second certificate that has the distance listed. So 268 kilometers is what it says. And I thought that was fun, so I went ahead and spent a little more money. I stood in line anyways, and so I got both things. I also bought a little mailing tube for it right there too. So, that whole thing was like €10 or something, and that made a great, great souvenir as well. And it fit into my backpack pretty well. The other thing that most people will buy as a souvenir is the famous shell. Of course, the great symbol of the pilgrimage. And if you buy it at a place who knows the tradition, ask them to write inside the date. And I guess you can't quite read that, but it says 9 Julio 2021, Viernes Saria Buen Camino. So this is something you'll see on a lot of people's backpacks. And I didn't get mine until Saria, but then I put it on, and yeah, it marks you as a pilgrim. And I was into it by then. I felt like I had kind of earned it by then. So for me, I put it on at that point. A lot of people buy it first thing, and then, that's like a first day purchase that they have. But obviously, that's a great souvenir as well. And these things, the credential, the shell, the Compostela itself, these are the main souvenirs you will have. And that plus pictures is plenty. Like, you will not feel the lack of anything coming home with just those things. But I did buy a couple of extra things, and I was thinking in terms of weight and cost. So I was on a budget, so I bought very small things like this little way marker and this little pin that I of the shell symbol. Super cheap, super light. If I had wanted to buy something heavy and valuable, I would definitely have shipped it home. And I probably would have thrown in a few extra things that I didn't want to carry in my pack anymore. Like if you bring 4 pairs of socks and you realize, yeah, I don't need those that fourth pair. You could ship home your souvenir as well as some extra stuff, and that would be a smart way to lighten your pack. So there's nothing you can't buy, obviously, and it's super personal what's meaningful to you and what kind of souvenirs you would want. But I'm just here to tell you that if all you have is your photos and some people don't even care about photos, but if you have your credential and your shell, and you'll be perfectly perfectly happy when you get home, you know. I did splurge on a little higher dollar souvenir, and that's this scarf. And it has the shell motif on it. And I bought it at the Museum of the Santiago Cathedral. So in the museum shop there, they had the scarves. And this is the most expensive souvenir I bought. And it was sort of a celebratory thing. I wanted to have some special thing to celebrate the ending of my pilgrimage. And I wanted to support the cathedral. So by buying something at their shop, I knew the money was sort of going to a good cause. So there was that. But it is still lightweight because I was still going to have to carry it like through the airport and everything. Um, so I still wanted something real practical from that point of view. Um, so yeah, obviously you're going to buy what you want, but this was my experience, and I really found that this was the most valuable thing. The credential has been my favorite souvenir. So that's um, that's what my experience has been, and I hope it helps you. And have a wonderful Camino if you have the chance to do it. Buen Camino.